Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So, should we begin now?
So I'll start. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all, dear students, respected teachers, and everyone from other universities also taking part in this lecture. I invite you all to the 13th distinguished lecture, which will be on the topic Breaking the Silence and Modernity, Reinventing Self in James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. So I would request the head of the department, PG Department of English, Berhampur University, Shruti ma'am, to kindly introduce the speaker before we can start. Ma'am, please.
Dr. Das, your microphone is muted.
Okay. Am I audible now? I hope I am.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you very much. So, I welcome Dr. Komal Phuyal on behalf of Berhampur University, on behalf of the Postgraduate Department of English, Berhampur University, to this August afternoon, where Dr. Phuyal is going to speak on a topic of utmost importance. He's going to talk on James Joyce's The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. And as we all know, this text is 100 years old this year. So it is my privilege to introduce my young friend, Dr. Komal Phuyal. Dr. Phuyal is Assistant Professor of English in the Central Department of English in Tribhuvan University in Nepal. He has been teaching since I think 2010 or 12.
10.
And he, apart from being an erudite scholar, is a freelance editor, a writer, a translator, and also an interpreter. He has been doing interpreting work to facilitate CAD, PAI, and SIMS evaluation of clients in multiple instances for American insurance claims of Afghan returnees. And he's also an interpreter for US aid in Nepal, and also a language editor of Dr. Raj Suwal's survey sampling in 2019, and it was published by Heritage Publications from Kathmandu. Dr. Phuyal has published more than 20 research papers, has presented in many seminars and conferences, and young as he is a dynamic teacher and organizer of wonderful conferences. And he has done his PhD in Nepali literature. He has scores of publications on Nepali literature. His PhD thesis, is entitled Nepali Modernity in the Backdrop of South Asian Modernity. And we are all eager to hear from you, sir. So it's over to Dr. Phuyal now. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you, Dr. Das, and thank you all the participants. Thank you for coming and being ready to listen to my presentation today. Uh, uh, I'm going to share my presentation. I don't know how we do this. Maybe, yeah, I got it. Okay.
You can go to the share screen option on your desktop.
I think that's visible now, right?
Kind of, yeah. So I think I can, yeah, sure. Reinventing the self, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm very bad. I don't have much sense of making this sort of presentations, you know. So I love reading papers more than reading papers or talking to the people. So I'll not be taking much time in background kind of discussion. Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, uh, Thank you, Dr. Das, for the exaggerated introduction of a very little person. Uh, my presentation is titled Breaking the Silence and Modernity. Here, you need to take breaking the silence as one term and modernity as other terms. So I'm trying to relate these two key ideas breaking the silence on the one hand and modernity on the other. Reinventing self in James Joyce's portrait of artist as a young man. So I'll be talking about these things. Before this, let me take you to this idea of modernity. To us, to many people, modernity means many things. For instance, people take modernity as scientific development. We have Immanuel Kant talking about what is enlightenment in the um, early age of European transition, and to him, enlightenment or modernity becomes man's release from self-inferiority tutelage. He was trying to find out and exit from man in Kant's term, man's immaturity to maturity, or from darkness to light. That was his definition of modernity. To Jürgen Habermas, modernity is an incomplete phenomena because he views modernity in a very completely different light. He thinks that Europe started this project in the time of the Enlightenment, and Europe started thinking about, uniting science, morality, and aesthetics. Because aesthetics has got very fast speed because it comes from human imagination, and morality is very rigid as it does not want to go with the spirit of the time, with the changing motive of the time, with the changing ethos of time. There is a kind of conflict between these two things, aesthetics and morality. And science has its own ways of dealing with the things. If things come within the structure of cause and consequences, they are accepted, they are acceptable. And if there is no necessary connection between cause and consequence, things are rejected. So Habermas says that Europe was trying to bring all these three things together, unite all these things together in order to achieve its modernity, and that was not possible. So, to Habermas, European dream of modernity is an incomplete dream. And you can find people like Richard Rorty or Peter Wagner and SN Isindad kind of people who also talk about modernity. So, what is modernity to us? to me, every society has its own way of doing, its own way of being, and its own way of acting. So, how is this acting self generated in a society? If we look at India, you could call, there are sure obviously there are many people who disagree with this thing. You could call Gandhi as an acting self, Gandhi as an agency. So, how is it that a society gives birth to agents? Because we are doing this thing in literature, we take help from literary documents, literary texts, or literary imagination to study, to analyze the birth of agency in the text. So, to me, birth of agency, or a birth of acting self, or birth of the self that asserts choices, own choices, is the first condition for modernity to take place, modernity to emerge. And such kind of modernity uh, helps a society to develop its own organicity in the path of its advancement. So, this is something uh, on modernity. And when two cultures come in contact, I have found at least you can add some more responses also. For instance, Indian subcontinent, British people coming to India, and in Indian culture, I mean Bengali culture, or you could say Marathi culture, you could say other cultures also. So in India also this kind of cultural contact was there, and so in quest of modernity, when two cultures come in contact, for instance, we'll be relating this case in Irish context. There are at least five responses. The first one is representation. The larger culture, for instance, in India, uh, the British culture represents India. This is India. This is how Indians are. They begin to write about India. In Ireland also, British people go there and they begin to write what Ireland is, how Irish people are. So this is representation. And in the 80s and 90s, whole subaltern studies people started uh, reworking on those narratives established by the colonial Raj. And another response is a rejection. So from the above there is a representation, and from below there is rejection. And in rejection there is water type kind of situation. So the purist, they completely uh, negate the existence of the larger culture, or the smaller culture and the large culture are not in harmony, and they all the time they reject what is there as a foreign thing. Rejection. Another beautiful thing is resistance. Resistance can be possible in two cultures coming together in one setting, or in case of gender, we can say that women resisting in patriarchal state, or in case of a caste society like ours, lower caste people resisting the upper caste people, kind of things. These things go on. Another very important thing, important uh, aspect of two cultures coming in contact is appropriation. Appropriation is a situation in which the native culture assimilates the foreign culture as its own. For instance, in Nepal, I can give you one example from Nepali thing, and I'm going to quickly deal with this thing because this is theoretical thing. Many people may not be interested in such kind of theoretical discussion. So in Nepal, we have got Dhaka tie, Dhaka topi, or Dhaka cloth. I mean, Dhaka looms are very popular kind of fabric in Nepal, and we have got Dhaka tie, and this Dhaka tie becomes symbol of Nepali nationalism. So tie also can become symbol of Nepali nationalism, though it is a foreign thing. And Daura Surwal is Nepali kind of clothes, traditional attire, And the Western automatically accepts quote as something Nepali. So quote is, the quote is not Nepali, it is accepted as Nepali in the state of Daura and Surval. So this is something, making the foreign your own is appropriation. And final thing, which is a very desirable one, where all cultures can grow together, is the spirit, which is also the spirit of modernity, is multiculturalism. So these are five possible responses when two cultures come in contact. And I have brought these kind of five responses, five possible responses, because Ireland is also a society where there is one larger culture dominating, British culture dominating, and Irish people resisting against this kind of. Now, another key term I have used in the title is breaking the silence. So, what is this silence about? So I did not use the term tradition because tradition becomes, tradition gives a more negative connotation. So I have used this term breaking the silence. So how do we break silence? Or what is tradition? Tradition is something that takes you to prevailing practices as the ultimate final thing for your life. So you begin to, because my father carried out certain things in a particular way, I'm supposed to do those things because this is my family tradition. I'm supposed to eat certain particular type of food because my parents have been eating this kind of things. I'm supposed to use certain kind of dialect or certain kind of attire, certain kind of clothes. So family, nation, culture, religion, caste, class, multiple things come in the formation of tradition, and tradition most of the times silences us. We are not supposed to express who we are, what we think we are. We are not supposed to express ourselves in that particular. We are supposed to express ourselves the way we are taught to behave in particular direction. So this is something tradition does, and our inner essence is always silence. So one has to break the silence. One has to break away from the dictation of tradition. And you might argue, because I'm also aware about what you might think about this, as some of the traditions are good. Should we always challenge those things? So you might argue in that line also, and we can always rethink about the question of tradition. So in modernity, I find three things very interesting, and with this, I'm trying to set the mood of discussion in the novel: self, agency, and subjectivity. So, what is self to us? What is agency to us? What is subjectivity to us? To us, self is the cause of the social structure. Self is one. For instance, Gandhi can be agency. Gandhi as a self is agency in Indian subcontinent. Nepali literature has also responded to Gandhi. And there are other literatures in this subcontinent. When I talk about uh, uh, India as subcontinent, that is a cultural category, that is not political category. And subjectivity is the effect of social structure. So, as we promote certain kind of political structure, certain kind of economic structure, this economic structure does not allow people to go beyond certain limits. And this political structure also does not allow certain people to go beyond certain limit. And the limiting thing of the social structure does not allow the full bloom of self. In such case, we say that these people who follow the dictation of social structure, um, who always try to abide by the dictation of social structure are subjectivity. And finally, self can be understood as a very neutral term that shows how we behave, how we relate ourselves to the world and the world to ourselves. So that could be a very neutral term. So agency, subjectivity, and self. So after talking this much about the theoretical background, theoretical concepts to discuss this novel, uh, this man James Joyce uh, published this novel in 1916. Uh, Earlier, Dr. Das said it is 100 years, but I think it is 104 years. The 1922 was Ulysses. So today we are talking about uh, a portrait of a portrait of artist as a young man. So the portrait of artist as a young man was published in 1916, and it is, generally these kind of informations are everywhere as you Google it. It is autobiographical kind of things, or many other things. Um, these coming of age kind of novel, these kind of things are there. But what I'm interested in this novel is the formation of self, the formation of resisting subject, the formation of agency, the one who can assert one's choices, the one who does not follow the dictation of the social structure. This is very interesting thing for us. Irish author, born in, I mean, this is not 1982, this is 1882. Joyce was born in 1882, and uh, he lived a very modernist. He had a very huge impact in modernist literature. Uh, Major texts like Dubliners in 1914, A Portrait of the Artist as Young Man, 1916, Ulysses, and he had a lot of other texts also. So the structure of novel is also very important for us because as as a very modernist text, this text has got five act kind of, if you look at this thing in the Renaissance drama, you can find five act structure, and here he develops this thing in five act structure. So chapter one, child; chapter two, teenage; chapter three, in chapter three, he is 16. There is a line in which he says, he tells his the father, the priest father in his college, that he is 16. And chapter 4, he takes mature decision. And chapter 5, so in chapter 4, up to chapter 3, he cannot break the silence. He is silent. He follows the dictation that is imposed on his subjectivity, on his personality. But in chapter 4, he takes a mature decision, and he this decision is something that brings the total change in his life, and that is where I find James Joyce, or I mean Stephen Dedalus, reinventing himself and breaking the silence and being modern at the same time. So, how do we reinvent self? First of all, any subject undergoes certain kind of training, and this training is necessarily part of inculcating particular way of thinking, behaving, and acting in the society. Society always wants people to be predictable. Uh, as audience, you want me to be predictable. You don't want me to talk about T.S. Eliot or Virginia Woolf in the middle of my discourse. So I have given you all these, PowerPoint kind of things on your screen. You are looking at this thing, and you are trying to society invents institutions like school or colleges or education to inculcate particular kind of ideas, values, and in training the people in this mode, the society actually represses them. In case of Stephen Denales, he is sent to a boarding school because at the time his parents were well off, and he does not feel good there in the boarding school. But gradually he starts developing, uh, adapting to the circumstances of the boarding school, and there he is given a different kind of education, and he is given proper Catholic upbringing in the school. He begins to see the world through his through the lens provided by his education. He does not develop any critical rationality in the early days. He is not skeptical, though you can find places where he boldly asserts. For instance, uh, he breaks the glasses, and he has not completed his assignment homework, and one of the fathers, the teacher's uh, prefect, I think, uh, he gives him a lot of flogging with his stick, and this boy develops a kind of resisting, rebellious nature, and he begins to question the um, exercise of power from the authority. So he goes to the rector and reports that the particular father who had flogged him had wrong, because he could not understand, the father could not understand that he had lost his pair of glasses, and he had returned his family to send those the pair of glasses. So he can face the authority. He can go and report, and he can stand up in front of the authority to challenge the uh, exercise of power on his body. So he can do this thing. So gradually he searches for his wife, boys, and he finds himself. So he has got he develops a kind of early, you can see early contours of agency in Stephen Dedalus. And Stephen Dedalus is a very interesting character. As you go to the uh, third chapter, you can find Stephen Dedalus uh, attaining the age of almost 15, 16, and he experiences his first he has his first encounter with a Dublin prostitute, and he develops a sense of guilt. And in the spiritual retreat, there he finds a lot of fathers coming and giving them lectures for 3 days. And he, at the end of these things, he goes to the father and he confesses that he is a sinner. He had uh, he had sinned uh, by going with a woman. And this confession comes very interestingly. He, even after confessing, he is not fully. He does not feel light there. He is not fully spiritually. He does not spiritually recover himself. And this man now begins to behave in a proper Catholic way. Proper Catholic way. He follows all the rules and all the dictations of the priest, all the uh, rules, and he becomes an excellent boy in the college, Christian college. After he one day the father of the college uh, invites him to his chamber, and he offers him uh, the vocation of priesthood. So he is offered priesthood. Now, as we read, we Uh, this person who has completely accepted priesthood, who has completely accepted Catholic way of life, is something, there is some doubt that he might accept it. In the beginning, he thinks that this is the thing he is made for. In the beginning, he begins to take it as an opportunity to realize himself. But as he goes deeper and deeper into this decision, he ends up realizing that one does not become, one does not really find oneself in a very fruitful, in a very, how do you call it? In a very, one cannot realize oneself in a very fantastic way if one becomes priest. So being priest, in his uh, opinion, in his conclusion, is curtailing all your freedom. So he does not accept the dictation of the religion, the religious scriptures, and he chooses to become an artist, a writer. So at that point, he rejects it, and that is where the climax of this whole novel lies. And Stephen Dedalus becomes oneself only when he can reject some of the dictations of his life. For instance, as somebody brought up in Irish family, he was trained with, he was imbibed with certain kind of Irish nationalist feeling right from the early stage of his life, and he overcomes this thing. He does not focus much about Irish nationalism or Irish kind of things or his family dictation kind of things, and uh, he has got family dictation. He has got national, I mean, Irish kind of structures, discourses dictating upon his self, and later on, his Catholic, proper Catholic upbringing is something that begins to torment him. In the beginning, he begins to think that it is the best thing to have occurred in his life, but later on, he realizes that uh, this kind of, accepting the existing discourses, accepting the traditional discourses, accepting the prevalent discourses, you cannot assert yourself. You become the effect of the structures. So uh, Stephen Dedalus, uh, or uh, you could also call him the alter ego of James Joyce, chooses to become a writer. And as his name suggests, Daedalus is a Greek craftsman. He also learns a new craft of establishing himself, exploring himself, or generating his argument through writing. And that is where he realizes that there is an unseen call in the back of his mind, pushing him forward into some sort of destination. And his destination is to become a writer. His destination is to initiate something of his own. His destination is to be unpredictable. So, prevailing discourses want you to be predictable. And a modernist is one whose course is not yet set. So a new course is born with the modern icon, and here he begins to critically reason out the situation in his life. He begins to develop skeptical attitude towards his family, skeptical attitude towards his father, who flirts openly in the bar when they go to Cork to sell their property, and he begins to develop a skeptical attitude towards his society. I mean, Ireland, and he begins to develop a skeptical attitude towards his Catholic upbringing. So he begins to search for his voice, and there he he molds himself into a different kind of personality, different kind of self by reinventing the inner voice in himself. So he rejects all the offers of those existing discourses and he becomes the initiator of a new voice in modernist form of literature as he finds himself, as he learns to assert his voice, as he begins to enjoy the sensory pleasures outside in the world. As you see, as you read the text, you find him bringing the he brings all the senses together in his description. And at one point, he tries to uh, train his all his sense organs in a very stoic way of because he is so impressed. So he is overcome by a kind of excitement uh, about the pain of Jesus Christ, and he tries to inflict further pain in his self in order to discipline his body, in order to discipline his sensory organs. So he imposes kind of pain on his sight, on his tongue, on his nose, on his ear, on his skin, and all these kind of things. This sort of stoic practice is there. But finally, he comes to realize that these things are not true. So, what is true for himself is something that he finds out at the end, and he asserts his choice. By asserting his choice, not to become a priest and to become a writer in future, he asserts his agency and he emerges as agent who can develop his own way of being, his own way of behaving, his own way of acting in the society. And this man reinvents himself. And this is where I find it very interesting that he breaks the silence or he breaks the dictation of the prevailing social structures that do not allow you to assert yourself. And these uh, dictations, these prevailing social structures are a kind of obstacle in the formation of the ethos of present, the spirit of present. And uh, by breaking the silence and by asserting the self as agency, James Joyce's Stephen Dedalus reinvents his self and uh, he knows who he is going to become and who knows how he should realize himself. And this is a very interesting drama that has taken place in this novel, the portrait of artist as a young man in James Joyce's. So this much from me. Thank you for patiently listening to me, and I'd love to talk to you, and you can now. So over to you, Dr. Das.
Thank you very much, Dr. Phuyal. Our faculty member, Ms. Sikha Mohanty, is going to moderate. Over to you, Sikha.
Thank you, sir. It was a really interesting talk, and I really enjoyed the way you describe these different elements that are embedded in modernity. Things like multiculturalism, appropriation. I believe it would help our other students in analyzing the other modern texts that we have in our syllabus. Now I would like to open this virtual floor for questions from our students. So students, if you have any questions, uh, students and all the other participants as well. If you have any questions for Professor for Professor Phuyal here, please put them forward. Anyone? Anyone with questions? Um, Sir, Rao sir, your speaker is off. If you could switch on your microphone. Sir, your microphone is off. You have to switch it on.
Ishwar, please switch on your mic. Ishwar, switch on your mic, please. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay. Okay, madam.
Now you can ask your question. Go ahead.
Sir, thank you, sir. Today, wonderful your presentation, the paper, of the paper, sir. Actually, sir, I would like to know, sir, which techniques is used in the novel, sir, Portrait of the Artist Young Man?
What is it, Ishwar Raoji? What is it
Yes,
you
sir.
are?
He wants to know what are the various techniques used in the narration of the text. Joyce, what Joyce has used.
Actually, you see, when I go to these kind of things, this kind of discussion, my focus is in this lecture. My focus is not on, you could talk about stream of consciousness, or you could talk about omniscient way of narrating the text, or so many other things you can talk about. But what I want to yeah, I'm actually trying to rescue this text without telling you uh, I'm trying to rescue this text from the contemporary discussion about modernism, or things like that. I did not use this term modernism as such in the text also, because to me modernism is uh, Euro-American, or modernism is a kind of aesthetic movement in the uh, British Anglophone world. So in Anglophone world, or you could say in uh, Western Europe, and in America, modernism was there. So when you begin to talk about modernity, you can talk about societies like Ireland, or societies like India or Nepal, or Argentina or Chile. So when you go outside Western European point of view, you are supposed to talk about those sort of things, and I prefer this word modernity to modernism. So, to me, this text is not something that is talking about modernism as such. This is a kind of text promoting modernity, promoting agency, promoting Stephen Dedalus as agent. So you could talk about narrative techniques in different section. Like uh, there are people who say this novel is something talking about coming of age, stream of consciousness, and these kind of things are not so very important, because we have been talking about these things for a long time. So I hope Ishwarji, Ishwar Raoji, you understand what I'm trying to say here.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Puyal, because yes, even I see modernism and modernity as two different things. And when you break out of Western Europe or you try to come into the other nations which are not Western America or Western Europe as such, you find you do not find that kind of a thing. What they talk about as modernity is, or what they talk about as modernism is breaking with their ancient tradition.
Yes,
They have been
true.
following a kind of linear thing. And our tradition is not linear because we are a multicultural society. We are not a monocultural, monotheistic society. You can just break tradition and create something new. For them, breaking the rules and codes of Christianity is something modern. But for the rest of the world, even you mention Ireland, where they have a lot of Celtic imagery in their religion, or a lot of Celticness in their religion. It is not a monotheistic, or it is not simply something like the Christianity or the Christian belief, the Protestant Christian belief that you find. It's like something starting here and then following the codes. So breaking away with the codes is modernism according to the West. But modernity, as you explained, yeah, thank you very much. It was a very, very interesting talk. I quite enjoyed it because you did not speak about the hackneyed kind of thing that everybody goes to when they talk about the portrait of a artist of a young man talking about stream of consciousness and the kind of narrative technique. You were talking more about the essence and the essentializing of the text, giving it agency. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Anyone else with any other question? There is a question in the chat box. If you want to take it, Komalji.
Okay. Uh, is this Sukana Sukanya, right? Sukanya Day.
Yeah, this is Sukanya Day. Yes.
How is aesthetic theory and epiphany can be associated with the features of modernity as introduced by statement? Yeah, this is a very, very pertinent question. And I also did not use this word, epiphany. So, epiphany could be, when I begin to, when in the last slide I was talking about discussing about certain features of modern self. For instance, critical rationality. When you begin to challenge the dictation of the society, when you begin to see that the society is too much on you, you begin to uh, counter argue about the ways of the society. You begin to formulate different kind of models to challenge the uh, ways of the existing society, existing practices, prevailing practices. And at that point, uh, all of a sudden you happen to realize that something is so very present in the way society is behaving, society is acting, and this sudden kind of realization that because you have been, for instance, in the case of Stephen Dedalus, he was there in his Christian college, studying and doing wonderfully in uh, physical activities and doing wonderfully in theater, developing a kind of uh, veins for writing and all these kind of things. And he was the one who had all sort of moral awakening. He was trying to follow moral kind of dictation of Catholic scriptures, and his priests, the fathers, everyone was saying that he is a very good person. Now, all of a sudden, you know, in the when he was on the way to his spiritual attainment, he comes to realize that it is not something he is prepared for. He is born for. So he begins to realize that something different is true in his case. Now, this kind of sudden realization is epiphany, and epiphany is a very essential feature of modernity as such, because the questioning is in the questioning self begins to find the cracks in the social structure, and it is out of those cracks in one of my papers on Muktadhara. If you have gone through Muktadhara by Rabindranath Tagore, I have developed a kind of theory of what modern prison is. And in Muktadhara, there is a dam constructed to block the water. And Abhijit is the one, Abhijit as a prince is the one who comes to realize the
Your
weak
line is
spot.
unaudible. Like, we cannot hear you. You're inaudible right now.
Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we.
Okay. So in Muktadhara, Abhijit as the prince goes to the dam and he knows where the weak points are, and he hits with his spear in those into those weak spaces, and as the dam breaks, he is also washed away with the flow. Now, modern modern subjects are questioning subjects. Modern self is critical self, and modern self is a skeptical one. And because of this kind of skeptical attitude, because there is a lot of doubt in modern self, doubt embedded in modern self, there is epiphany that the modern self realizes at one point. And as Sukanya De rightly points out, uh, this epiphany is a very much feature of modern self, who doubts and who realizes something new. And it is after epiphany that the modern self begins to explore her own way towards unknown destination. Thank you. I think we don't have other questions now here in chat box.
Um, Anyone else who might have questions?
Sir, I want to just know something, one thing from you. For the first time, I'm Shivashis from Kolkata. Thank you, Komal sir, for such an excellent lecture on James Augustine Aloysius Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist, the Young Man. And you have rightly pointed out such kind of ideas like breaking the silence and modernity, reinventing the self. Actually, going in up one after another epiphany, when we are going to just understand about the epiphany, so it's a kind of breaking the silence also. So it's a means revelation, right? In the from Aputra artistic man, we see that how the novel expresses the breaking the silence from the intellectual, changing the morality, changing the sexual development of Stephen Douglas from childhood to boyhood and adolescent period. And I think also that when he is writing that in the exercise book in geography, exercise book, Stephen Douglas, clubs of elements, Collingwood College, Salins, Condor, Ireland, Europe, the world, the universe. So in such idea also, I think that it's a kind of also breaking the silence from Stephen Douglas to the universe, right? And again also Stephen Douglas is my name, Ireland is my restaurant, College is my dwelling place.
heaven is my expectation, right? So in heaven is my expectation, it is also a kind of position that how Stephen Milton wants to reveal himself with the touch of heavenly ideologies. And the fourth epiphany, I think that also when he say utters the word to live, to air, to fall, to kill, to recreate life within life. So that is also kind of revealing himself, revealing the self, right? So when you talked about I simply, I'm overwhelmed and actually enjoyed your lecture, really excellent lecture. And I think that breaking the silence, maybe breaking the tradition, right? Breaking the tradition or and modernity. So breaking the tradition and going into the modernity. So I actually I expressed my feelings, and after listening your lecture, I expressed my feelings, and I really thank you very much for such an excellent lecture. Right.
Thank,
This is
thank
my
you,
observation.
Sivasis ji, for this beautiful observation and those kind words. And when you were talking to me about this thing, I happened to recall one of the episodes there. So, when his friends want him to accept that Tennyson is the greatest one, he does not accept Tennyson as the
Yes, yes,
greatest
yes,
poet.
yes, absolutely.
Rather, he says that Byron is the greatest poet. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
Byron and Shelley, so he rejects Victorian morality.
Yes.
Victorian morality is something that he is fighting against. And rather than Victorian morality, he is after Don Juan or child hero kind of heroes who have their own whims, who, and at times he remembers Shelley's poems, and Shelley becomes a very fascinating person for Stephen Dedalus, and he says that I have read a lot of poetry by Byron, and I have got complete collection of Byron's poems at my home. So this shows his attitude. This shows the phantoms that he is trying to follow, but he does not realize those phantoms. And when you say that he begins to think about on the geography book, he begins to think about Ireland is my home, and his town, his place, his nation,
Dwelling
and
place.
or
Yes.
universe, kind of, this kind of. So there, I see rather he is trying to realize uh, Irish
Himself.
nationalism.
Yes.
That was, at the highest peak when he was growing as 9 or 10 years. In
Yes, yes, yes.
1891, the great Irish nationalist leader passed. He passes away, and there was a kind of heated debate. There is a kind of heated debate in the Christmas dinner party also, and uh, they have this kind of thing. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say here is, what is the phantom that you are following, and are you really able to realize what you are following? In Stephen Dedalus' case, he follows the spirit of Byron. He follows the spirit of Shelley. He follows the great uh, poets who who were romanticists, who were not Victorian. So he is actually opposing Victorian morality in order to come up as himself, and he successfully does it when uh, he rejects his Catholic upbringing, and he
Yes,
chooses
absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
become a writer.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
for the
so
kind
much.
words.
Okay, okay, it's echoing. All right, Komalji, I think there is a question by Renata Harry in the chat box. I think that's the last question. We won't take any more.
Yes.
Or if Sudhanshu wants
So
to
I
ask.
think, Dr. Das, this is a truth question, and um, Renita Harry's question is, this is something that we are discussing. This is not, this is non-conformist novel, non-conformist text. And for modernism or for modernity as such, conformism does not allow you to become more modern. Conformism creates subjectivities. Conformism does not help you emerge as agency. So surely it is non-conformist text.
Thank you. If there is any other question, we'll just take one more because we have taken a lot of Komalji's time. Anyone else with a question? Pavitra, Sudhanshu, participants, anybody? Soumya, Nita, anyone? Sudhanshu, do you want to ask a question? Do you want to make a comment?
Yes, madam. Sir, uh, can we apply this stream of consciousness in theater as well?
I couldn't get that.
No, sir,
Please.
this portrait of a young man as a artist, right? So uh, the stream of consciousness has been applied here. So can we take this technique and implement it in theater?
We can do that. We can do that. But uh, you know, uh, if you are actually, this is something that we are discussing here. If you follow the pattern established by somebody, uh, you are again not agency. You are effect of that particular kind of discourse established. Once a particular discourse is established, you are not supposed to take it. So, what is your own take? What is it that you want to say about the text in a very different way? So if you say, okay, I'm not saying that you are not supposed to discuss stream of consciousness in relation to James Joyce or other great writers. You are supposed to understand it. But when you apply stream of consciousness or some other literary techniques, you need to understand that. But when you start doing the same thing again and again, where are you? I mean, you in inside inverted comma. So where is this you in this reading? So you means your uniqueness, your position. So you as an agent is something that is very important. So otherwise you will be producing something that has already been produced by many people, thousands and thousands of people, and this does not add any novelty to the way we are looking at text.
Thank you very
We
much.
totally do that.
Thank you very much,
There's
sir.
no
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Pavitra.
Thank you very much. I think, yeah, one moment. I think, Sudhanshu, we could use this technique in theater, but it would be a little difficult for the theater goers to understand it. It would be rather, the celluloid would be a perfect medium because we could then go back and forth with editing. So stream of consciousness would be a little difficult when you put it on a physical stage, right? So the audience would not be able to immediately understand it. But on celluloid, we could, with the modern techniques of cinema, it could be very well adapted. And this technique, not only for this text of Joyce, but you could use it and re narrate many texts that you would like to reinvent, you would like to reconstruct, and give new meaning to certain traditional texts. You could use this technique very well. I hope I could just enlighten you a little bit.
actually, there are people using a lot of other media, like multimedia is something used on stage in modern theater, and they have, for instance, if you watch, there are multiple production of uh, uh, the death of the salesman, the death of the salesman, and Willie Loman's multiple versions are available on YouTube. Also, you can look at this thing, and there also you can find this being used in theater. Still,
Well, I'm
some
not
of
a
you.
theater. I'm not a theater person. He is doing his PhD on theater, Sudhanshu.
Okay, okay. So avoiding the question is the best thing for people like us, you know.
Yeah, exactly. We will be enlightened by him. There is another question by another PhD scholar who's working on Albert Camus. That's Pavitra Kumaraswamy. Over to you, Pavitra. And
Thank you, ma'am.
answer a short question and not
Yes,
a
ma'am.
long comment.
Yes, ma'am.
We've
Yes, ma'am.
taken a lot of Komalji's time.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, sir. My actually, I have a doubt. I just want to know, can you compare Katha's anagnorisis? There is a word, Aristotle's anagnorisis. Is there any link between anagnorisis and epiphany? Are the same, epiphany and anagnorisis? Anagnorisis, the realization of the truth, a sudden lightening in darkness, as Aristotle uh, defined in poetics.
Uh, uh, Epiphany is something that happens with the characters.
Yes,
The
sir.
characters, they undergo certain kind of situation in their life, and there are particular kind of political happenings or social happenings or personal circumstances, psychological obstacles, and they are undergoing through the means of all of these kind of things in their life, and all of a sudden they realize certain new thing. But when Aristotle uses this term in his Poetics, this is more about the audience who realize something, looking at the things happening on the stage. But in case of Epiphany, things happen within the characters, and their realization is something beautiful for us to realize and to enjoy.
Sir, when Macbeth realizes that life is nothing, life is a dead, told an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing, and he realizes he killed so many people. And after that, he realizes that life is valueless. Life is a tale told by an idiot and full of sound and fury signifying nothing. Can you say, sir, it is not psychological? It is only for audience.
Uh, these are two medium of presenting the things also. For instance, stage is when we say that stage or drama is director's medium, and fiction is writer's medium. So when writers have different way of dealing with the reality of the fictional world, and uh, directors have different ways of doing the things. So you could say that this is there, but as the fourth wall is dissolved in case of stage, uh, people are directly looking into the world, and we are like in the world of so we have more distance in the world of fiction, and in the world of drama. From the dissolved fourth wall, we are looking into the life of the people. So, Epiphany is something. It comes not as the first-hand experience. It comes as the second-hand experience for the readers, because when Stephen Dedalus realizes something, I'm very happy. Oh yes, Stephen should do this thing. I love people revolting against the particular kind of social dictation, the rigid social structures. And when he says no to those things, when he says Byron is the best poet, we Tennyson is only a rhymester. I really love that kind of statement. And when you take this thing to stage, in stage, I think this is. And I'm very weak, as Dr. Das says. I'm very weak in the matters of stage also. So, what is your what is your impression? What is your how do you see the difference between these two concepts as you are discussing? So you can also add to this thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, you're of course, absolutely you're right, sir. You're of course, I can conclude, sir. Epiphany is the modern version of anagnorisis. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. And this is the last test question in the chat box. After that, I request the participants not to put any more questions.
So,
Pragya Paramita.
Pragya Paramita, self-expression and self-portrait are acts of claiming agency. One needs some kind of crisis in order to be induced into such behavior. Could our resource person kindly elaborate this theme? Uh, this is a very wonderful question. Uh, in that it relates to what I'm discussing this evening. So, as long as you remain silent, and if you look at the text very closely, if you give close reading of the text, you find silence and silent being used multiple times. Uh, and the one who is silent, the one who accepts the dictation of existing uh, discourses. My family is the best family. For instance, my country, Nepal, is the best country to live in. My people, I'm Brahmin, and Brahmin are the best people on earth, kind of thing. So Ireland is my home, and this my school is the best place. Catholic religion is the best thing. My society is the best thing. My family is the best thing. So when you accept all these things, you don't have to talk about those things. You are not expressive. When you begin to grow discontent, when you begin to grow dissatisfied with all the situations in your life, you begin to express your dissatisfaction. And you begin to doubt the social structure. You begin to question that these social structures are not adequate for me to realize myself. And now you become self expressive and you need to find your voice. So, how do I express myself? There is a kind of this is you are at a very uncomfortable zone. You have something troubling you from inside, and you begin to find out your voice, and you become expressive. As long as you are not expressive or self-expressive, as you say, or as long as you do not know your own size, self-portrait means knowing your size, knowing the size of your soul, knowing the size of yourself. As long as you are not aware about who you are and how you are acting in a particular context, you do not you cannot really assert your agency. You cannot really assert your choices. And yes, uh, we need these things to claim agency, and you must realize a kind of crisis. And in human life, you have multiple crises leading you to certain particular path. And in Stephen Derrellis's case, uh, his encounter with a Dublin prostitute and the sense of guilt that he develops because of his Catholic upbringing adds to this crisis, and he begins to see himself as spiritually corrupt, and he begins to see himself as disobedient youth like Adam or like Lucifer in the Christian order, and he realizes himself because he undergoes through this crisis. Thank you, Pragya Paramita, for this lovely question, beautiful question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think we should bring this wonderful session to a close, though I hate to say that, but we have to say goodbye. So, I thank Komalji from the core of my heart on behalf of the Department of English, on behalf of all the participants, and on behalf of Berhampur University. I thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation. Now, I will request Sudhanshu Shekhar Panda, PhD student of the Department of English, Berhampur University, to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, madam, for offering me this opportunity. Uh, Esteemed SOD of our department, Professor Suti madam, respected Dr. Ishwara sir, respected Anil sir, respected Sikha madam, and all other respected participants. I feel privileged that I have been asked to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of our PG Department of English. I offer our sincere gratitude to Professor Komal Phuyal, Central Department of English, Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu, Nepal, since he has dedicated some of his precious time, even on a Sunday, for teaching us on today's subject, breaking the silence and modernity, reinventing self in James Joyce, a portrait of the artist as a young man. Such explanation for stream of consciousness to a different perspective is really commendable. The session was full of scholarly information and it was really insightful. I'm sure that every one of us has gained some knowledge from today's discussion. Particularly, the question and answer section was a detailed deliberation and it furthered our understanding of the topic. I once again thank Professor Puyal for his time and explanation about the subject. I thank our HOD madam for her special attention to such sessions time and again over the years, even not letting us lower the guard even on Sundays. My special thanks to the organizing team for seamlessly and arranging the logistics and Sikha madam for moderating the session. I thank all the professors, teachers, students, all those who have participated in today's solar event to make it a successful one. With this, I seek everyone's permission till we meet next time on one more occasion like this. Thank you all. Have a great time ahead. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you so much. Thank you, all the participants.
Thank you, Dr. Das. Thank you, everyone, for such a lovely session. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Komalji. Thank you. Bye
See
bye.
you. Bye bye.